The leaves of the tree are for healing.
Shalom everybody. So I started this in my last video about, taking the pleasure in the wicked's death, and you can see that. I'll link it below, but I just realized I didn't want that to be in this video because I kind of went off topic, even though I think it was deserving of its own video, I guess basically is what I would say. So I just wanted to reiterate in this video that I am not trying to teach people anything. I'm just explaining my experiences, what I'm studying, where I'm going, etc. And if you find help and are interested, then that's what this channel is for. If you don't believe I'm headed in the right direction, etc., you don't have to watch, you don't have to listen, and that's fine, because I don't really mind, I don't care. People tell me that they unsub me because I'm after demons or something, and I don't care. I didn't do this channel to get you to subscribe to me. I did this channel because I felt like I had to. The Father wanted me to, and I had to do what He wanted me to do. So I did, and I like sharing what I've been through because I've been freed. And that's what I want to talk about. How do you get free? And that's what these videos are for. And so in this video, I wanted to discuss a New Ager that I was listening to recently. Previously in my live chat, I was actually asked, how do I get out of a funk? If people are kind of dragging me down, raining on my parade or something, how do you stay positive? Because as I've talked about here with this frequency thing, we are supposed to stay positive. And I think that the more that we are positive in agape love, forgiving others, staying in that positive frequency, expectation, being grateful, grateful for what we have, that the more you're grateful for what you have, the more you'll have. And that is a more New Ager topic. And so, some mainstream Christians will hate the whole idea of the law of attraction, but it seems to be the way this world was working, the way our Father created it. It seems that the word, the doctrine that He spoke, the golden rule, basically the law of this world, is to treat others as you would want to be treated and to be thankful and grateful for everything that there is. And according to the Clementine Homilies 8, when they were ungrateful, that's when they fell. And I can understand that, because if you're ungrateful, you're seeing the negatives. You're constantly looking around and seeing like, I don't like that. I think that's wrong, or, whatever, that there's something negative there. And then according to the law of attraction, the way the world works, then you're drawing upon yourself negative. So you're going to get more of that, because the world is sort of fixed on giving you what you're focused on. And sometimes when you are praying and you start to pray, let's say, I want to have a lot of money, what you're doing is telling the world, I don't have a lot of money right now. And when you pray in that way, then you're praying, what the world hears is your vibration. And it's what your intention or thoughts are focused on. And a lot of times we pray in the wrong way. So somebody asked me to do a video on how I pray. And so I'll kind of incorporate that into this. So when we pray the way the mainstream Christians pray, Father, help heal this person of their broken foot, you are putting an intention that this person has a broken foot. And when you put in that intention, you're basically saying they have a broken foot. They have a broken foot. And what the universe is built upon is to give you what you are focused and intending. And that's what keeps the person not healed. The way Greg Braden talks about this with the Essenes mirrors, actually, let's see, I'll go to the website that I have up, and I have Greg Braden's teachings on here. And so I'll leave a link below for this if you want to check it out. But Greg Braden talks about how to actually pray, the Essene way. And so there's it's about affirmations and things like that. And then there's a video here about the feeling is the prayer. And so he got onto this because of the Essenes. And of course, I was listening to him because I was studying the Essenes, the early followers of Jesus or Yehoshua. And so that's how I got led into this whole law of attraction thing. It wasn't because I was looking into the law of attraction. I was looking into what the early followers of Jesus actually taught. And so Greg Braden was talking about this is how they prayed. And then I started praying that way, and then I started seeing results. And it's understandable. So basically, the feeling is the prayer. So we have to feel like it's already happened. And that shows your faith that what you've asked for, you will receive. So I'm going to talk about Esther Hicks, who is seen on YouTube as Abraham Hicks. And I don't want to get into that off track yet, but she talks about this, how you are, whenever you experience something that you don't want in this world, that's the contrast. This world is filled with positive and negatives, and the negatives, that's what you would think of as the contrast, between the positive and the negative. When you hit a negative, it's telling you, you don't want this. You are making that decision. You see a negative, you judge it as negative. You're saying, I don't want that. So that's the bad. And then what happens is you put out an intention, what you do want, which is the opposite of the bad. She calls it putting it in the vortex. I've talked about the whirlwind, etc. That's how we communicate with God. And I don't want to get into that too much in this video, but you can ask if you're interested in more of that. So the whirlwind is how we communicate with God. She's saying you put that in there when you see something negative. So you have an experience of being very poor, perhaps homeless. You think to yourself, I don't want to be homeless. So what you're doing is putting it in the fact that you want to have a home. You want stability. You want to have a place to call your own. You're placing that in the vortex, in the whirlwind, whatever. That's the heavenly treasures, the kingdom within you. And so you're putting that want into the vortex. And the thing is, she says, you ask and it's already received, right? And of course, that's what Jesus said, ask and you will receive. And the next thing, of course, is knock and it will be opened unto you. And I've talked about how you knock. And in the video on how to find the truth, it talks about the kingdom of heaven is hidden in a veil of love. You knock on the gate of love, agape love, and it will be opened unto you. So how do you get your heavenly treasures? Well, first you have to knock on the door with agape love. And I've talked about this. If you don't have that agape love, when you pray for something, it will be manifested in a weird way. That's why the genies, the demons, in Islam, they call them jinn, and we call them genies. And in mainstream media, when you see genies, they often answer your prayer or question or whatever, your request, in a way that is negative. And the reason is because you're not asking in pure agape love. You're asking a demon rather than asking God. So that's why genies make mistakes. So when you make an affirmation or a prayer for something positive, but you're not coming in that agape love, as I talked about the frequencies, if you're not on this end with the love, mercy, and you're coming from a fear, anger, like I'm angry, I don't have any money, and I'm angry at the elite for taking our money, then you're praying in a negative way for money. You're praying to the demon, genie, whatever, jinn, and you're going to receive it maybe with the law of attraction, but you'll receive it in a bad way, such as, like I've talked about before on my article, if you pray for $5,000 and you're not praying in a good, positive way, then you will perhaps, this is an example, accidentally fall and break your back at a business, and you will have a $5,000 hospital bill, and you will, sue the company that you fell at for $5,000. You have received your $5,000, but you received it after breaking your back, and the $5,000 is going to go to the hospital, not you, and you you affirmed that you had $5,000, but it wasn't through agape love. So you're reaping the negative consequences, like asking a genie for $5,000. It comes in a negative way. But if you can come in pure agape love in a positive way, like the Game of Life talks about, you can pray under grace and all that stuff, and you can receive things in a positive way. But you have to come through that agape love, and you have to already be grateful for what you have. So I guess I'll get into that here. If you are in a state where you don't have money and you want money, and if you are thinking that I'm like talking prosperity gospel, etc., you can see my video about how we are not supposed to be poor if we are in agape love, such as Joseph. When he went through everything he went through, he was raised up, just like Christ was raised up on that authority. He was given authority and he was given riches. And there's a lot of people in the Bible who actually had riches because they did God's will. They were coming in agape love. So it's not that we can't be prosperous. A lot of people in the Bible were prosperous. It's that we have to not come from a fear, anger perspective. We have to come from agape love and mercy. And then we claim the kingdom, the heavenly treasures that were already put there for us, as long as you knock on the door with agape love, not with fear and anger and negative emotions. All right. So how do you get from this perspective of I don't have money to a perspective of I have money? And the idea is that we have to pray the feeling. The feeling is the prayer. And how do you get from a place of poor health to a place of being healthy? The feeling is the prayer. You have to feel like you're already healthy. You have to feel like you're already rich. You have to feel like you already have what you have, because what you have is already yours, because you've already asked, you've already received. All you have to do is change your frequency to the frequency of having it. And this is the hard part, right? And this is the part that I talked about in my live chat. How do you not seem delusional to people out there when you start praying that you already have it? You have to go forth acting as if you're already healthy in order to get that health that you desire. You have to go forth acting as if you're already wealthy to get that wealth. And that's why you can be unemployed and go to a restaurant and pay a lot of money for a great meal, acting as if you've already received your job. And that's when you can receive your job. Once you feel like you're not unemployed, you're not without money, you're not without protection, this shows your faith that Yahweh has already provided you with what you need, because you're grateful in the moment. And that's why I'm saying Clementine Homilies 8 talks about the people that fell were ungrateful. But when you can get to the point of being grateful for what you have, being in this moment saying, I am healthy in this way, I'm healthy in this way, I'm healthy in this way. Focus on your health that you do have. And that can, don't focus on what you don't have. So you can't just pray, Father, help me to get healthy, because by praying, get healthy, you are affirming that you are not healthy right now. You can't pray, I want a lot of money, because what you're doing is affirming that you don't have a lot of money right now. And you get what you affirm. And so how do you get, let's say somebody is lonely, they want a mate. How do you get from being lonely and without a mate to having one? You have to be already feeling the feeling that you would have if you were in a relationship already. And this is where the mainstream world is going to call you delusional. Somebody who is without a mate, acting as if they already got one. They're already planning on all the things that they're going to do, and they're already feeling as if he's already there or she's already there, and they're not lonely anymore. And somebody would be like, well, how did you do that? right? And it's difficult maybe to explain that. And that's where you look delusional to people. But it's basically having faith that it's already happened. You're just being grateful for the fact that it's already happened. And when you're grateful for the fact that it's already happened, the world manifests it to you. And it's basically because Yahweh built this world to be enjoyed. And when we got ungrateful, we fell. And that's why you see a lot of ungratefulness today. But for those who are grateful and thankful, that's why you can see people in the New Age movement, even if they don't have Jesus, actually rising up and getting things because they're happy and thankful for them. And I think that's really how this world works. We have to just affirm that it's already happened. And that's why Greg Braden talks about in his video of the feeling is the prayer, that there was a man who, like a Native American, would go and then he would go to make this prayer for rain. And he would just stand there for a few minutes and then he walked away. And Greg Braden was like, don't you have to do something? And he's like, no, I already did it. And what he did was he envisioned the feeling of the water on the earth, on his feet. A feeling of the water on your skin. The feeling of this already there, already happening. And then he jokes, of course, later on that it just keeps raining and raining and raining. And Greg's like, how do you stop it? He's like, we haven't figured that out yet. I think figuring that out would be probably to stand there and feel the sun warming your skin and the bright sunshiny day, etc. And that would be how you would get that to happen. But I think that we can get our perspectives and shift it to make sure that there are no chemtrails. As I've been focusing on being higher in this positive frequency, I've been having a lot of great days. I've been having a lot of blue sky, white puffy clouds, which I actually had thought about previously, so I probably brought about those because I was like, I really miss those white puffy clouds that I used to, see animal images in. And I've seen a few of those. Today I got bright blue sky with no clouds whatsoever. And it's really been amazing. And I think that we have more control than we think we do. And that is why the mainstream media wants you to be in a fear, anger perspective. Because when you're in that perspective, you're sort of being molded and you're being given brainwashing that it is always going to be chemtrails, etc. It is always going to be this negative thing. And the more you talk about it, the more it happens. Because that's what you're intending and that's what your vibration, what you're giving out. And that's why when I was in 2015, I went down like lukewarm. I went down into the whole upset, fearful of the vaccines and the chemtrails, etc. And mainstream truthers, let's say, sort of focus on that. They specifically talk about it a lot. And I understand there's a need to become aware of these things, but the harping on it is what's bringing it about more and more and more. And I think if we would focus, get higher frequency, focus on being grateful for when we do have good days, focus on being grateful for what is positive in our life, the more and more we climb up that ladder to gratefulness and love, forgiveness, etc., the more we climb up, the more wonderful, positive, like-minded things are going to happen, the more we're going to raise everybody else's vibrations around us, which can, sometimes people around us can affect us. I know that. But if we can raise them up too, and like I said, the more you get higher, the more people on the lower frequency want to leave you. So if you can get up to a higher frequency, gaining more and more people around you that are getting to a higher frequency, then you start making that egregore, the positive egregore versus a negative egregore maybe. And The people that are negative would leave. They would feel the need to get away from you because they can't stand to be around you. And then we can make this heaven on earth a reality. And the people outside will be weeping and gnashing their teeth. So I think I've explained how I pray in this video. And yeah, Esther Hicks, she is supposedly a medium. I mean, she doesn't call herself a medium, but mainstream Christians would, because what she's doing is speaking in the plural for an entity called Abraham, which I find very interesting because of the whole Abrahamic religions. And what happens is they speak through her, they, multiple beings, whatever, but maybe it's the body of Christ, the Abrahamic body of Christ. And I find that very interesting. But I don't believe everything she says, so I think what's happening is she's receiving a lot of stuff, and then she's interpreting it the way her mind, her perspective would interpret it. I think they've changed her perspective on things, but there may be things that they haven't changed her perspective on, such as the fact that the earth is a globe, etc. So she says some things that I don't agree with. She says some things about foods that I don't agree with either, and like it's okay to eat meat or whatever. But yeah, there's certain things that I don't agree with her. And another thing was that everything that this world is expanding, like this universe is just ever expanding. And I'm thinking that there might be a point that we are going to expand a lot and then just sort of collapse into the body of Christ and become one again. So I have different perspectives on that. But the thing is, so some people would say she's a medium, she's contacting demons, you can't listen to her. That's what the mainstream Christian group would do. But the thing is, when I listen to her, it raises my vibration. And so if it raises my vibration to a higher level where I just can't even stand to be unforgiving, as I talked about in my last video, then that's a good thing. That's positive fruit. It's good fruit. And a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. So that must mean that it's a good seed. And there are some people out there who might be hearing from demons and be giving out bad frequencies, which I would say those who are listening to the whole demiurge belief might fall in that category, because they keep people afraid and feel like they're slaves and stuck in a prison, That's bad fruit to me, because that's not freeing. Understanding that we can actually have power over the elite by raising our frequency, that's freeing. That we can actually take control by, forgiving others, that's freeing, etc. So if people are giving that freedom, then that's where I'm going to head, to love and freedom and compassion and mercy. And so that's why I would listen to her. And she's got some interesting ideas also on how to raise your frequency. And it was confirmation for me, because I was talking about that we should be appreciative, maybe even write a journal of things that you appreciate in this world, things you're thankful for, a gratitude journal. And we're thankful to the Father for doing that. And when you do that, then you attract more things that you're grateful for. And that's where I'm trying to heading and already am, etc. And then the more you do that, the lower the negative frequencies kind of do bug you. And so it might be difficult. It's, like I said, a spiritual healing crisis of switching from that to the positive, but we can do it. And you just let go of the negative feelings. And that's why I talked about it. It's kind of like increasing the want to move to the love, mercy frequency, raising your kundalini, etc. All these positive things is like turning up the heat on the lake of fire. We're sweating out the toxins, the negative frequencies, the negative emotions, the negative thought patterns, and we're sweating them all out. And it can give you a healing crisis when they all come up. And that's why I got so upset, what I talked about in my other video. So, but we can get rid of them. We can purge them from our bodies. And it may be difficult at first. You may run into examples in your life of things that, you need to forgive if you've got unforgiveness issues. And so those things might pop up, but then forgive them. And then you move on and you get closer to the agape love, and it gets easier and easier and easier. It's just at the beginning, it's really difficult. Just like when some people first just cut out meat because they're like, I might get demons from eating meat. Then you cut it out, and then you have this whole healing crisis because all the toxins and stuff that you used to ingest are coming out because the body's finally able to heal itself a little bit more. And it's difficult. You get angry often. That's one of the results of fasting from meat is this anger and stuff like that. So I didn't really do that personally, but I saw other people go through it. I prayed to like healthier foods, and Father did it in a very gradual way over a couple of years. So he did it in the best way for me. And that's why I suggest just pray for our Father to lead you in the best way for you to go through this healing process, this ascension process, as the New Agers would call it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with calling it an ascension process because we're going from a low vibration to a high vibration. But yes, there's people in the New Age group that will tell you to keep eating meat. There's no problem with that. Well, I find a problem with it, but maybe you have to go in the order in which you have to go, and maybe that's not your order yet, etc. So I'm not going to judge where people are because our Father has to lead everybody in their specific way. I'm just sharing my thoughts on how it happened for me, basically. So Abraham Hicks, if you look them up on YouTube, you might enjoy them. She definitely helped me get to a higher frequency, like I talked about, just the affirmations and things like that. There's an audiobook on there that was interesting. Talks about what she calls a rampage of an affirmation rampage or something. Not affirmation. What was it? Appreciation rampage, I think, where you're just thinking about things that you're grateful for, where you could be like at the post office in a very long line, and you could be upset that you're in a very long line, but you could also just say like, I really like that the way that person is talking to their child, that they're really paying attention to them rather than being on their phone. And I really like that we had a great day today and it was a great drive, and I really like this and I really like that. And you just think of things that you're grateful for, and that can help you get out of something dragging you down, like being upset, that being ungrateful that you're in a long line, whereas you've just given yourself time to actually be grateful about things, and you pick different things that you're grateful for. And the more you do that, the higher you're raising your frequency. And then you can be saying, I'm grateful that I was in a long line at the post office because it gave me time to be grateful and raise my frequency. So it's no longer a negative thing that you're waiting in line. And same thing if you're in a traffic jam. You could be really upset that you're in a traffic jam, and you could spend your whole time being ungrateful that you're in a traffic jam. Or you could change your perspective and be happy that you're in a traffic jam because it's giving you time to think about things that you're grateful for, which will raise your frequency higher. And then wherever you go in the future, you're going to have a better perspective, a more appreciative perspective, and you'll see more things that you appreciate, which again raises your frequency higher and higher. So when I pray, I'm trying to be very grateful for the things that I already have. So I talked about in my live chat, I'm grateful that I got a new cell phone. I'm grateful that I've got this, and I'm grateful that I've got that. And rather than being ungrateful that I don't have this or I don't have that. And the more you're grateful for things, the more they come to you. So that's basically, you want to have the feeling of whatever you want when you want it. And another thing is, if you're in a job that you think sucks, you could consider leaving the job that you think sucks to get to a new job. But the thing is, no matter where you go, you bring yourself with you, No matter how far you travel, you're still with yourself. And your frequency is what's attracting the things to you. So no matter where you go, you are attracting the same things. So if you're in a job where people are really annoying you because they're constantly bugging you for things, you're ungrateful that they're constantly bugging you for things. If you moved yourself into the feeling grateful for the job that you have already, appreciate the people. Perhaps they're good at this and they're good at that, even if they are bugging me about this or that. You don't want to focus on the negative things. You focus on the positive, appreciating them for this, this, and this. And all of a sudden you'll find out that they're not bugging you anymore. And there's no reason for you to go to another job But the more and more that you are increasing your frequency, you might attract a better job because your frequency is pushing you out of this job into another job that's better for you, because you've increased your frequency enough that it's pulling you to it, and this negative job was pushing you away from it because you're increasing your frequency. So that's why we have to focus on increasing our frequency first, appreciating where we're at now. If you like, I want to move out into a different place, but I have to appreciate the place that I'm in now. And when I appreciate the place that I'm in now, then it will attract me to a better place that I would be more appreciative of, etc. But you have to be appreciative now of what you do have. Be grateful for what you do have. And that's basically it, I think. We have to pray with a gratitude that we are happy that we're where we're at, and then the world around us will change. So I hope this helped. Thank you for listening, and shalom. So I figured I would just share a video of what my sky looks like today. You can see there are a few white puffy clouds, but no lines in the sky, and very, very blue. And I'm very appreciative for this. And so hopefully we can come together and raise our frequencies enough that we can see this all the time. Chris White once coined the phrase short-term New World Order freakout syndrome to explain what it's like to have your perception of the world shattered. Of course, it's not just about the shape of the world, whether it's flat, round, or something else entirely. This New World Order freakout often includes now saying no to GMOs, fluoride, vaccines, and pharmaceuticals. It's a complete overhaul to your lifestyle. And trying to explain that mainstream media is just propaganda to promote false flags, division, and more can really put a strain on your relationships. Have you gotten tired of being mocked by your own family for what you share? We've all been there. Are you treated like the black sheep because of the commandments you keep? I get it. We're all trying to figure things out together, but sometimes you just have to let your family and friends be. Plant the seed and wait and see. But while you wait for them to catch up, do you wish you had someone to talk with who gets it? That's what Truther Talk is for. Being able to discuss what's going on in your life and what you're interested in without feeling like you're going to be judged as a crazy conspiracy theorist who should be on drugs or committed. No subject is taboo, and I'd love to hear from you. Simply truthertalk.com. Simply make an appointment and let's talk, Truther. The ladies of the